This is Dagon from Inquisition, and you're watching Impact Channel.
Greetings everyone, our guest today is Dagon from Inquisition. Welcome back to Europe.
Good to be back.
How is the tour with Demonical?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. How is the tour with Demonical?
Excellent. People will say good things to be formal and to stay positive and sound positive, and I'm not trying to sound positive. It's going excellent. Excellent. Why? Because venues are pretty full. Not just on the weekend, but during the week. We're in smaller venues, but still, they're full, they're packed. And people are genuinely there for the music. I don't think they're there just to have a night out or see what Inquisition's about. Like they're there with a purpose. And
it's been a huge gap. I think the last time you toured in Europe was in 2019, 18 or something like that.
it was January and February 2018.
Yeah, with Septic Flesh, right?
Correct. Last time we were here. Yes.
Do you plan to come back to Europe in the near future?
Yes.
Because you're on the road for 2 weeks for now, I think.
It's 9 shows. Yeah. And if things were a little different on this tour, I would be telling you, we've been talking about it, but no, I can tell you we're coming back because we can see, I shouldn't say we can see, we are witnessing, not just gauging, but we're witnessing that the following we have here is strong. It's really strong, and we're seeing a lot of new faces. And those new faces are very passionate about our music. So I think we have a new cult following. I think we do. So we need to come back for that and then for our old fans. So
I suppose you're tired of this kind of questions, but in what way the pandemic has changed your attitude towards music and creating stuff?
I'll kind of give you a dark answer on that.
Go for it.
Before the pandemic, right before the pandemic, I had my own pandemic. And that's what, not changed anything, that's what opened my mind to more things. And then the pandemic came. So the pandemic was for people in general. The events that happened in 2018, I always expected it, but it really came with a heavy dose of a different reality. And it reminded me that the scene that I make music not for, but the scene that supports or has supported Inquisition is multi-dimensional. It's, as an artist, I don't mean to get too deep right now, but as an artist, we're so focused on not just entertaining, but inspiring people that we forget that each one is an individual too. And so, because they don't know you as a person, when they find out anything about you as a person, those dimensions start to afloat, surface, and then your reality can change. And so reality for a lot of you that changed because of the pandemic, for me it did nothing. That's the answer. Pandemic was, it really was a vacation. During the pandemic I had some of my greatest times. I bought some of my coolest guitars. I landed a great job. I kept busy, and music became even more freeing because now other sources of income, music was true ritual for me only and exclusively. And probably my busiest time was during the pandemic. And then I had so much more time for music as a songwriter because we weren't touring. So people might have to go back and re-listen to that answer, but maybe it'll make sense when they hear it several times. But the bottom line is the emotional or mental or psychological effects that the pandemic had on people had zero effect on me. I already had a good I already had a good taste of heavy stuff before the pandemic on a public level.
Yeah.
And that was it. And just to be clear, I don't mean that in a sad way. I don't mean that I don't mean it's not. It wasn't negative or positive. It was just it is what it, you know. So.
Did you take any actions about what happened in the media about that issue?
No, because I already know the laws really well. Really well. Yeah. There's nothing you can do. It's freedom of press.
Yellow
and
press.
The press can repeat anything that comes from legal records. As long as they don't change or exaggerate or invent anything from either their imagination or modify anything that comes from court documents, they can write whatever they want as long as they stick to what they think are facts. So there's nothing I can do. I spoke to, in one day I called 5 different attorneys. I already had my own attorney. Of course, who I had in, what was that, 2009. And I told him, hey, here we are 10 plus years later. Do you remember me? Oh yeah, I remember you. So, well, this is what just happened yesterday. What can we do? And I won't get into all that. But essentially in a legal way, what he told me was, just be strong. And he asked me, well, okay. Somebody off camera was talking to me, but he was great. I talked to him. He remembered me right away, and he said, well, do you plan on staying with your music? I said, yeah. And he said, do you care about your fans? I said, absolutely. He said, Jason, the best thing you can do is just talk. Just talk to people. Let them know what you are not. Let them know legally what you are not also. And from there on is when you're going to find out who your true fans are, who your true friends are, and that's it. That's the best you can do. That came from my attorney, who had my case back then. But that wasn't enough for me. I mean, it was great, and I said goodbye, but then I called like 4 or 5 other ones, and they were quick. They said, so what's the issue? What are you calling me about? I told them this is what happened, this is the media, this is what my case was, and they all would tell me, can you send me a link, text me a link, let me see what we're dealing with. So I send it to them, and they would ask me, well, is this all true? And I would tell them, no, not entirely, no. And, well, we get access to your courts? And as soon as they would read it, they would say, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. This came from the police report. So it's a waste of time to lawyer up, like we say in the States, because everything that media wrote stems or was taken by the police report. But guess what? And I'll say it right here. Not everything that police write on a police report is true, or doesn't have to be true. They can say anything they want. They can report anything they want. It's the court's job to find out what's true in the report and what's not. So, in essence, the defendant is not the only one on trial. Kind of, sort of. The police are, well, not on trial, but it's your defense's job to make sure this is what was true, this is what was not. If the police say they found 25 kilos of heroin in your house and you didn't do a day of jail, why not? It's an example.
So technically they just revealed the charges and not the actual sentence.
Yeah, if the police say they found 25 kilos of heroin in your house, even if there was a bargain plea, and the bargain plea is based off of nothing you did, why is that? Because it's a technicality. When you bargain, they need to have some kind of a charge. It's very rare for prosecutors to just want you to walk away with nothing when they feel like, he did something, we don't know, we can't prove it. Yeah, and so then you go to a jury trial. And I'm smart enough not to do that, because then here's the most evil, satanic guy on planet Earth in front of a jury. I'm exaggerating, but
I get it.
And are you going to take that risk? Even if there's no evidence. Well, the jury's going to say, oh, he destroyed the evidence. There was no proof that I destroyed evidence. They had my computer for over 2 years, and they produced nothing. I didn't mention this in the previous interview that I did for Rhoda, because he didn't. It's because he didn't ask, but it's something that I want to add here, that why there's so much confusion for people. I really don't care. I really don't what people feel about it or think, but I think it is important for those who do care to understand a little bit about how legalities work. When something seems so confusing and outrageous, it's legitimately confusing, and the confusion in my case to people, which they don't know why it's confusing, they can't put their finger on it. Well, I'll help you do that, and there was no evidence of any kind that they could produce, only assumptions. And then the evidence that they saw was questionable. They couldn't figure it out.
What does it mean, questionable?
I'm not going to go into details.
Okay.
But it was questionable. Questionable, maybe not in the sense that you think. Questionable of, I don't know. Is it? Yeah. Was it heroin or not? What is that stuff? I didn't know. And then the things that the media wrote that also came from the police report, 27 gigabytes or whatever, 1 million gigabytes of illegal blah. No, there wasn't. No, there wasn't. There was nothing. Like most people, fuck yeah, I looked at porn. Yeah, well, if they're gonna take from, I believe it was temporary files. I have no need to store. Who the fuck needs to store porn to jack off to, or what? It's all there online. Why? So no, that was exaggerated, and they phrased it in a way to make people think, oh, it must be that illegal shit that he had gigabytes of. How they wrote it, it's very creative writing. It's very hypnotic. we're talking about this, and that, and all of a sudden, boom, 1 million gigabytes. I'm exaggerating, but yeah, it's like all in one sentence. And then the people that just get led on, like by the nose, oh my God, this is what, yeah. So, yeah, there was a lot of creative writing in it. They had to bloat and fatten up the case to get the attention. And my case was dragged on and on and on because it was at the very bottom of the barrel, and there was nothing there. I mean, real quick to end this, the really disgusting things you read, possibly if you read it, that didn't exist. It didn't exist. There were files for trolling.
Trolling?
Yeah. Like there was a zip file that had there was like multiple categories of porn. And there were some files that had it's like a Cannibal Corpse album title. And there was stuff in there with folders, but they were empty. There was nothing there. Never had it, nothing. Yeah.
And how did you become a suspect in the first place?
Because of, well, there's some truths. So I had an account, and I uploaded some files of mine, band related, personal related. And there was some zip files that just happened to have porn on it. And when I say just happened, I didn't intentionally upload it. In there were images that today you would call it like AI, their scanning system flagged as possibly illegal material. And then that caught the attention. And then the officer that showed up at my house admitted that, said, hey, I'm just here to give you a heads up. She had them printed out. These are obviously yours, you uploaded them. And to be careful, I didn't immediately say, oh yeah, I didn't trust her. But she said, we get a lot of this, a lot of people who look at, say, like Asian porn, women in there that they can't really calculate their age very well. So, and it was just treated like that. But eventually they kept digging and wanted the hard drive. And so I'll just leave it there, because then we'll just get into it's a never-ending cycle of people wanting to hear more and more, and we're not going to go anywhere with it. But I mean, I think I've said enough about, essentially, it was a very, very exaggerated case. The reason why I took a plea bargain is I didn't trust jury. I didn't trust jury. And then the things that they gave me to fall back on as a plea bargain, they gave them to me because one of them was supposedly they thought I was tampering with evidence. And they told my attorney, we don't want him to walk away with nothing. We think he cleaned his hard drive. My attorney, and myself included, told the prosecutor behind, well, I guess you wouldn't say behind closed doors, outside of the courtroom. I said, with all the technology you have, I mean, FBI, everything involved, like, you're going to tell me you can't tell if I tampered or not? I mean, this isn't me talking, this is my attorney explaining. And I told my attorney that, and my attorney said, we know, they know, but they want to fuck with you. So Jason, it's either you take this or I'm up for either. I said, you know what, I just want to get this done. Let's get this done. I want to move on, and I'll take the slap on the wrist. And so it's just, one's a gross misdemeanor, the other one's a misdemeanor. And the other one they have there saying that jerking in public to porn, and that's also a technicality to fall back on. So I thought, fuck it, I'll take that. You know, instead of looking at possibly a bunch of what we call in the States soccer moms and Christians sitting in the jury box. supposedly it's fair justice, but I don't know how many people want to take that risk, leap of faith. So anyway, that's what we got. Yeah.
And now you're back on the road. You have a new record label, Agonia Records.
Yeah.
How is it?
Yeah, and that's the result of us staying on track. From day one, I mean, nothing changed in 2018. I just got busy writing, and Agonia contacted me that same year. Yeah. We wanted to stay away from the road for a long time. So, a very long time. So I wrote Black Mass, and then Veneration. Got back on the road in South America. Great place to start to get back on the road.
How is the cooperation going with the new label?
Really, really well. Yeah, really well. And we get everything we want and need, so we don't ask for anything we don't need. Just, this is how much we need to produce the album, and that's that.
Where have you gained your strongest fan base in the world?
Well, you can base that off sales, you can base that off streaming, you can base that off of playing live, you can base that off of so much. I would say, well, it would have to be Germany, Colombia. It doesn't look like it now, but France, Netherlands. If I didn't say did I say the U.S. yet?
I think so.
Believe it or not, the U.S. They're kind of like our silent. They're Inquisition in the closet fans. U.S. wants to play it off like they don't support Inquisition, and I've seen numbers of all from streaming numbers to physical sales numbers. I hate using that as a gauge, as a compass, because it sounds so plastic and pop, based on the numbers, you know. But it's the only thing I can really go by. U.S. is like way up there, like in the top 3 of like physical sales, and then people who write us wanting to see us live. We get tons of messages. When are you going to play Texas? When are you going to play LA? When are you going to come to Chicago? But really, it's something like the most fans at shows, and then even off the record support, like just the way people express themselves to me after a show or before a show. It would have to be something like Germany, Colombia, and then almost everybody else is in third place. Yeah, Inquisition has a really strong cult following everywhere. So yeah.
And what is the black metal scene like in the United States at the moment? There are some new bands coming up. Uada is quite popular right now.
It's the same as it's always been. It's like it's just a really big pond, and everybody's spread out, and you have these. It's like instead of one big forest fire, hot burning, it's just a lot of little fires here and there, and those are the little micro scenes. But I would say the most comparative scene within the U.S., like to Europe or something, would be maybe Chicago, Houston, areas of Texas, L.A. a little bit. Yeah, but it's really spread out, and people, they really like their heavy, like Black Death, you know, that blasphemy arch goat school. That's really, really what people love there so much. And then they like the cold Nordic thing too, and atmospheric, but they really like the brutal stuff. So you see a lot of that.
Do you agree with me if I say that the world is going through some radical changes right now when it comes to politics, when it comes to warfare?